The first accurate clock was made by Christian Huygens. He was born on April 14, 1629, to a middle-class family. His father, Constantine Huygens, was a successful poet. Later in his life, Huygens entered the University of Leiden, where he studied mathematics and law. 2 years later, he attended the College of Breda. Christian was a famous mathematician, astronomer, and physicist. He was mostly known for founding the wave theory of light, but he was also known for making the pendulum clock. Huygens made the pendulum clock in 1656 and patented it a year later in 1657. During the last 5 years of his life, he had ill health, and he died on July 8, 1695, being 66 years old. Although Christian Huygens was the creator of the pendulum clock, Galileo Galilei had a very important role in making the pendulum clock as well. Galileo created the formula, and Christian created the clock. Christian Huygens was very innovative and persistent. This has helped him very much because Christian was the person who was acknowledged for this excellent invention, even though Galileo had the idea first. This is because he took the pendulum clock, which hadn't been completed, and created it so that it was his. He also is a very intelligent person who had the ability to think outside of the box. He was a pretty famous mathematician and scientist. Even though Galileo came up with the formula for the pendulum clock, Christian came across new problems with the clock and had to come up with new solutions. The clock can vary in all shapes and sizes, but they all perform the same task, telling time. There are two main types of clocks, analog and digital. On the analog clock, there are hour and minute hands that move to the numbered dials that signifies the 12 hours of the day. Digital clocks are electronic clocks that tell the time with numbers. The digital clock must display either AM or PM. Where would we be without the clock? Well, for starters, without the clock, we would have no way to tell time. There would be no opening and closing times of stores, no getting to certain events on time, and always running either late or early. Think if you were to schedule an event, it would be very difficult to actually get everyone there on time because there would be no such thing as time. Christian Huygens invented the pendulum clock in order to solve the biggest problem of his time, finding the longitude at sea. This may not seem as important now, but when he created it, this completely changed society. Then, the sailors could know how much time it was since they left the dock, and be able to tell how far out in the sea they are. And finding the longitude at sea was a very important thing to know back then. So the clock changed society back then and even nowadays because it helped us find the longitude at sea. So many things rely on the clock, including the date. Without time, history would be completely changed. World War I ended on a very specific time, and that is a big part of its history. The clock tells us exactly when we need to end a day and begin a new one. So we need the clock not only to tell us the time, but also to keep track of the date. In the future, I think that overall the clock will be very similar. I think that the clock is a very simple yet complicated invention that cannot be advanced like phones were amongst the years. And even though clocks will look very similar, we will still advance our clocks somewhat. Today you can find clocks that not only tell the time, but they have alarms, they change colors, tell the temperature and weather, and much more. There can surely be new settings added to the clock, but overall, the concept of a clock cannot be completely changed.